election of Bishop Karen Oilveto, a lot of people are wondering, how does the United Methodist Church elect our bishops? In this video, I'm going to make reference to jurisdictional conferences. If you don't know what those are, you should watch the video on them first. Every jurisdictional conference has its own nuances and idiosyncrasies for their episcopal elections, but the basic format is the same. Every 4 years, vacancies in a jurisdiction's episcopacy are filled. Any ordained elder in good standing is eligible to be elected a bishop. Now, this does mean that licensed local pastors and ordained deacons are not eligible. The term "in good standing" means that the elder is not under supervision due to any complaints or charges. Any ordained elder in good standing, it doesn't matter where they're from. In 1984, the Western jurisdiction elected Bishop Leatine Kelly, our first African-American female bishop and only our second female bishop as a denomination. She was from the Virginia Annual Conference, which is in the Southeast jurisdiction, but Western delegates believed her to be the most qualified candidate to serve the church's need at that time, so they elected her right out of the Southeast jurisdiction and brought her out west. The most qualified candidate to serve the missional needs of the church. That's a phrase that's really important because it's the phrase that describes the intentions and efforts of the 2016 Western Jurisdictional Conference. So though we can elect any ordained elder in good standing at jurisdictional conference, that's too many candidates to really be considered. So the annual conferences within a jurisdiction help narrow down a short list. Each annual conference can endorse a candidate or candidates. This year, there were 6 annual conferences that endorsed a candidate. To keep the process open, there are also nominations from the floor, which garnered 3 more nominees this year. So at the beginning of the 2016 Western Jurisdictional Conference, there were 9 candidates for 1 open slot. We read their personal statements, their letters of endorsement. We heard speeches. They did a Q&A forum answering some of the biggest questions the church faces. The candidates also met personally with each of the delegations for more questions, for conversation, for discernment, and prayer. Then the voting began. Now, we use electronic keypads to vote, and the names of all the candidates would be projected on the screen with a number next to them. You'd push the number of the candidate you wanted to vote for, and then we'd await the results with singing and prayer. The United Methodist Book of Discipline says a candidate must receive at least 60% of the votes cast to be elected bishop. In the Western jurisdiction, the requirement is 66%. So with all 100 of our people voting, 67 votes were needed to be elected. Now with 9 candidates running, you can see where that would take a while. After each ballot was taken, we would take some time to meet with our delegation, speak with other delegations. Caucus groups like the Interethnic Caucus sometimes would meet to reflect on their specific interests and hopes. And then we would take another ballot. Eventually, candidates begin to withdraw their names. Seeing that they do not have and are not developing enough of a vote tally to be elected, one by one, after the 4th or 5th ballot, candidates begin to step to a microphone and withdraw their names. They're usually surrounded by their delegation members as they make their concession speech. They receive a prayer of blessing from their bishop, and they also receive the applause and gratitude of a conference grateful that they participated in this holy process. You can actually watch those moments on the Western Jurisdiction Facebook page. At the 2016 Western Jurisdictional Conference, the Reverend Dr. Karen Oilveto was the frontrunner from ballot 1 all the way through ballot 17 when she was elected. She led by a strong margin all the way through. In fact, she averaged a 14% lead across 16 ballots. By ballot 13, there were only 3 candidates remaining: Dottie Escobedo-Frank and Skip Strickland and Karen Oilveto. After ballot 16, with Karen Oilveto leading with 61 votes, Reverend Skip Strickland withdrew his name. And then Reverend Dottie Escobedo-Frank did as well. This isn't actually out of the ordinary in the Western jurisdiction. When the will of the body has become clear, especially when there's only 1 election remaining, there is often an effort by remaining candidates to show their support for the soon-to-be elected bishop. This graciousness allows the election to be a unifying moment for the candidates, for the voters, and for the entire jurisdiction. On the 17th ballot, Reverend Dr. Karen Oilveto, an ordained elder in good standing from the California-Nevada Conference, was elected with 88 of 88 votes cast. And there was great celebration of the grace that led us there.